everybody, and welcome to Breaktime Conversations, a YouTube channel where I have conversations around education. Having been a teacher all my life, education has really fascinated me. And along my journey, I have met so many interesting and inspiring people. And so I decided to document my conversations with them here so that you too can hear their stories and the amazing work that they do. I'm here today with Abhishek. He is a Chennai based entrepreneur. He has worked in the hospital industry and then with a US based software company before responding to his passion for education because he always wanted to reach out to people who have no access to education. So, after a few stints here and there in the field, he started running Learn with Comics, a social impact non-profit which uses comics to teach lessons. They are a little over a year old and they have students from across India reading their comics. Abhishek, thank you so much for being here and to share this wonderful journey of yours. Why don't you start by telling us a little more about this little initiative of yours, Learn with Comics?
Thank you so much for having me over, ma'am. I've been seeing your interviews. It's very inspiring because I don't see a lot of people interviewing educators who are trying to do something in this field. So I'm really, really happy to be here. So about Learn with Comics. So the major reason was I think one of my travels, I was carrying a comic with me somewhere in the northeast. I think in Manipur or Nagaland, I'm not sure. So one of those places I was traveling and there was a child sitting next to me in a school, right? So I pulled out a comic because I was waiting for somebody to come, and this child just sits to me and starts, peeping into my comic. I said, "You want to read it?" I said, "Sure, I want to read it." So I thought, "Oh, that's not bad," because you usually tell, we teachers always complain that students never want to read, right? You have to force them to read, and I mean, it was just an idea. Then I thought, and the second thing was I was not a very conventionally bright student. Now there are several terms for it, but back then I was like the backbencher, right? So I was like, textbooks can be intimidating, right? Especially if you're not privileged enough, or if you're not conventionally smart enough, they can be very, very intimidating. So I thought, we want color in our food, we want color in our clothes. Why not some color in our books? And I think our books surely need color. Because I learned about Mount Kailash and Kanchenjunga and Tundra and all this in black and white, right? I cannot visualize grasslands, or I cannot visualize the Sundarbans, because to me it was all taught in black and white, right? It was figure 1.2 or figure 1.3, and I thought it's really boring, and I thought we needed to add some color to education. Literally, we needed to add some color. So that's how this idea was born, to make education more fun and interesting, right? Learning doesn't have to be boring and tedious. It can be fun. Though it is a very haram word in India, but that's what I wanted to bring in, some color into education. And that's how we started.
It was a lot of fun, and then surprisingly about I think in June last year, the NCRT launched comics. So the government came up with an idea saying, okay, we're going to do comics. So we were about 6 months before then. So I thought, okay, we're on the right track. Because it's always there's this big fight, right? So it's basically like, they say, NCRT goes in one direction, educators want it in another direction. Here we converged without planning. So I was like, wow, this is like something really amazing. So we're also, trying to get those comics on the Diksha app, so it'll be more widely available to children across, the country. So all that is happening, but we're too young. And comics are not taken seriously. So I think it'll take us a few more years for us to establish. Teachers are just warming up to the idea of getting comics into their classroom, because this COVID-19 has made this, any business is made it a level playing field, right? Anything is now acceptable. everything new is acceptable. An online class 2 years back was a mockery, right? It was considered, a little less. You're doing it online, it's not great. But today it's like a norm, right? You're learning everything from rocket science to Reiki and all that online. So I thought, okay, we are picking up, digital things. And to my surprise, during COVID, we were able to reach out to a lot of students in 2 tier and 3 tier cities with comics. Right? It was easier for teachers to explain with comics. Right? I mean, visual narratives play a huge role, but we never bothered to include them in our curriculum or syllabus. So I think change is happening. A lot of players are there today doing a lot of nice things. So I'm really happy that I'm doing this, non-profit thing. It's really good. I'm really enjoying the ride. So let's see how it goes now. Yes.
I wanted to say that I was a backbencher too. So I feel you. I know how important it is.
High five.
I know how important it is to make learning fun for people like us. And I
Right.
love that you thought about having color in your books. Like that's true. Color in clothes, color on our walls everywhere, but
Yeah.
no color in our books. That's amazing. And the concept of comics is strange. I mean, when I grew up, comics was a huge part of our lives. Actually, we read a lot of comics. And strangely, I have children of my own, and they have never really been into comics. I don't know why. So it's great that you're bringing it back. I mean,
Right.
yeah, that's awesome.
So we're planning to introduce something called the library program. So school libraries are usually, generally very dingy. If you just take big IB schools or something like that, they have good libraries. But predominantly libraries are those places where there's one teacher who just sits and gives you the books. And half the times we are laughing. Like the first library book I took in 6th grade was, I think, Silas Marner by George Eliot. Right? At that time, I didn't know whether the author was Silas Marner or George Eliot. I'm like, okay, looks nice. It was a nice green cover. I said, I'm going to pick green. And I picked it. And I read one page of it. I read one page and I asked my mother, I said, have you read this book? She said, yeah. I said, okay, tell me what is it I have to tell in school? And that's how it is. And the first real book that I read was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And that blew my mind. And, I became a all-round fan. So I wanted to introduce, like, a lot of schools right now, the NEP or even state governments insist on students having a library hour, But that becomes very monotonous. You know what we do in the library? We pass notes, we make fun. I played only book cricket. Throughout my library, I played book cricket. So I'm like, it doesn't work. So we thought we introduce something like a digital library where we make the librarian the most important person of the hour, right? So they are really good teachers who are just sitting there. You never see them even for invigilation. It's very rare that a librarian actually comes out. So we thought, we develop a program where the library teacher decides what book to give. Because they also see children once a week. They know the type of children. They all share information, teachers. So we wanted to make a library specific program. So I don't know if there's anything in India like that. And also what I've been reading generally is, I was speaking to another friend who runs an NGO, and he was telling me a child is not able to read one sentence in English in a rural school, right? And even in tier 1 cities, children have lost it because parents are saying, watch YouTube, it's there, just watch YouTube, it's there, and they've lost the skill of reading. Like I have a 6-year-old son, he lives in Canada, and he's been reading books from the time he was 3. Right? So he reads a lot of comics, and I started making comics for him because I could not afford $20 for a book. So I thought, okay, let me make comics, my own story, I will send it to him. Then I thought, okay, if I can enhance interest in my own son, I think somebody else could actually benefit from it. And they've been very open. To my surprise, we've been able to create a lot of impact with a lot of children, who are generally. So what we do when we go to a school, I say, give me the weak students, right? So the teachers say, no, that kid's not good, that kid's not good. I said, I want those kids. because they are the best. Because I see myself in them, and they are the ones who perform, right? So when you see an image, it's always in your head, right? Because as I said before, text can be intimidating. Like simple machines, a screw is a simple machine. All you need to do is show a picture of a screw in the wall and hang something on it. Simple machines is done. Inclined plane is like everybody in India would have seen some uncle pushing his Chetak scooter up a ramp into his house. Everybody would have seen it. That is an inclined plane. So, we design stories like that, saying this uncle is pushing the scooter up on a plane. So, I was trying to explain pulley to a school, a child in Chennai. So I said, when you go to a well, he said, what's a well? I said, well. He said, I've never seen a well. I said, you've seen that? He said, yes, I've seen it in comics or books. I said, you have a pulley? He said, no, I've never seen it. So I'm like, oh my God, so how do I explain a pulley to a child? Right? So they're more familiar with cranes. I said, those really huge cranes which pull those heavy objects in construction sites. He said, yes. So that's the pulley. That's how we use it. So these kind of physics is really fun. STEM comics we are creating right now. We're able to teach physics comics. I was intimidated by physics. I hated math. I hated science. And now I'm thinking, what an idiot I've been. How can you hate science? It's everywhere. Simple. Science is so much fun. So I wanted to give children what I missed out. Right? I'm not blaming the teachers. In India, you give teachers a spoon and tell them to go into war. You can't do that. Our teachers have been ill-equipped for decades. As far as I can imagine, till today, COVID hadn't come. Our teachers would still be ill-equipped. Because of COVID, they had to jump into the technology ship and understand a lot of things. I have learned so much from teachers. And one teacher taught me, HoloLens. I'm like, ma'am, I don't know. I didn't understand how to. She said, just take Google Lens, point it, you'll find it. I'm like, oh God, I didn't know that. Those kind of things. Now the teachers are getting back on top. Right? Now they know tech. All these days, they were a little behind. But now teachers and students are at par. So so it's great. So we want to distribute this digitally. Books are amazing. Like I have tons of books, but children will not read books. I think that's a fact. And what the other thing we've done, we made our content shorter. Nobody is going to read 30 pages, and everybody has to understand that fact. Make it simple, bite-sized information, and we're saying in the future it's going to be 30 seconds. Saying whatever YouTube Shorts has, that's all there is. So we make our comics very small, but we have a long way to go. We have our own problems that we are trying to deal with. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a great journey. I'm enjoying every day.
I was saying that's so amazing because reading is such a huge crisis in our country today. And I'm so glad that, you are trying to address this need in a very, very interesting way. And that's amazing. And nice that you're keeping it short because I know that bite-sized learning is something new that is coming up, and all of us with shorter and shorter attention spans, we need these bite-sized to keep us going. Yeah, so Abhishek, great to hear about your plans for the library and this and that. So before we end our conversation, what's your long-term plan? Looking ahead in 10 years, where do you see yourself?
But in 10 years, with the comics part of it, I just want it to be a supplementary material in part of, part of a curriculum, right? Right now, it's just a joke or maybe a supplementary curriculum. But I think this can make a huge impact. You can teach about race, you can teach about religion. India is not really the greatest of places right now. People are very, very sensitive to pretty much everything. You want to talk about LGBTQ rights or anything you want to talk about today. I think a comic would be, for a country like India, where everybody is sensitive about every single thing. I think comics can be a great tool, and especially for the underprivileged people in 2-tier, 3-tier cities. These children are going to really enjoy comics. We make it in different languages like Malayalam, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Hindi. So regional languages are the next big thing, and we want to be available to students. Our comics are going to be free. We want to be available to all those children across the country. Like literally, I'm not just saying it like another edtech company. Like literally, I want to go to the tribal areas, especially in the northeast, even in India. You know, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Bihar, Chhattisgarh. There are a lot of these places. I mean, in South India, we're privileged. Okay? South India, I would say we are very, very privileged, but rest of the country isn't. You know, very few states. So I want to reach everywhere. You know, without I want everybody to benefit. We want to make around. Our aim is to make 40,000 comics over the next 10 years in all languages. So we are striving hard. As you know, non-profits is not a joke. So we have an amazing investor, Dr. Malpani, who's supporting us for the last 1.5 years. So we'll see how it goes. So a comic in every child's hand is
Yes.
what I would like, inshallah.
Yeah, I just hope that your comics will reach far and wide and it will reach the
Thank you so
unreached.
much.
And I love that idea of, sending out messages through your comics
Right,
to, yes, our world is a mess. And I think your comics
right.
can help us a lot. Abhishek, all the best with
Thank
Learn
you.
with Comics. And I
Thank
will
you so
be your
much.
cheerleader, cheering you on as you
Wonderful.
keep producing those comics, and all the best. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for taking time out.
Bye
Have
for
a great
now.
week ahead.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Bye bye. Bye.